The world at war. Stories of courage and chaos. It started with tension in the air. Countries competing, alliances forming, and everyone wanting to prove their strength. Nobody knew that these rivalries would lead to two of the deadliest conflicts in history: World War I and World War II. 1. A spark in Sarajevo in 1914. A young man in Sarajevo killed Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria. It was a small act, but it set off a chain reaction. Countries were pulled into the fight because of promises they made to their allies. Soon, Europe, and much of the world, was at war. Young men left their homes, believing they'd be back by Christmas. Instead, they faced years of fighting in muddy trenches, where cold, hunger, and fear were constant. Across the globe, colonies like India and Africa sent soldiers and supplies, hoping their loyalty would earn them freedom after the war. But they were left waiting. 2. The war nobody won. World War I, also called the Great War, changed everything. New weapons like machine guns, tanks, and poison gas made fighting deadlier than ever. Millions of soldiers and civilians died, and entire cities were destroyed. When the war ended in 1918, people hoped for peace. But the treaty that followed punished Germany harshly. It left the country poor and angry, setting the stage for more trouble in the future. 3. A new fire ignites. By the 1930s, the world was in trouble again. Germany's economy was in ruins, and a man named Adolf Hitler promised to restore its pride and power. Meanwhile, Japan and Italy wanted to expand their empires. These ambitions led to another war, World War II. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland, and soon, the war spread to almost every corner of the world. This time, the fighting wasn't just in Europe. Battles raged in the Pacific, North Africa, and beyond. 4. Heroes in the Shadows. World War II wasn't just about soldiers. Everyday people became heroes too. In Europe, resistance fighters risked their lives to sabotage the enemy. In factories, women took on jobs left by men, building weapons and planes. Even children played their part, delivering messages and helping wherever they could. But not everyone fought with guns. In Germany and other occupied countries, millions of innocent people were rounded up and killed simply because of who they were. The Holocaust, where 6 million Jews and others were murdered, became one of the darkest chapters in human history. 5. Turning the tide. The war began to change in the early 1940s. The Allies, countries like Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union started winning major battles. In Europe, the D-Day invasion in 1944 helped push Germany back. In the Pacific, the US defeated Japan in key battles, though victory came at a terrible cost. To end the war with Japan, the US dropped atomic bombs on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. The destruction was unimaginable, but it forced Japan to surrender, ending the war. 6. Picking up the pieces. When the war ended, the world was unrecognizable. Cities lay in ruins, and millions of people had lost their homes. Countries came together to try to prevent future wars, creating the United Nations. But the peace wasn't perfect. A new rivalry began between the US and the Soviet Union, known as the Cold War. For colonized nations, the wars sparked hope for freedom. Countries like India and many in Africa finally gained independence, inspired by their sacrifices during the wars. 7. Lessons for the future. The world wars showed both the worst and the best of humanity. They revealed how destructive hatred and greed can be, but also highlighted the power of courage, kindness, and unity. Today, we remember these stories not just to honor those who lived through them, but to remind ourselves to build a better, more peaceful world. This version is simple, vivid, and emotional, making the story relatable and memorable. Let me know in the comment section if you'd like further adjustments. Join us next time on HistoFaith, as we share more stories of courage, wisdom, and faith. Until then, remember that the legends of history still speak to us today, guiding us towards a better future. Use the WhatsApp link in my bio to learn more. And if you have not subscribed, subscribe, like, comment, and share, because you may not see me again, and we are increasing every day.